Hey, Shalom Israel, this is Officer the Khan of the Isupk with your daily milk scripture from the book Isaiah chapter 30 verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. Now, why did I bring this scripture out? Because this scripture has a lot to do with, our brothers and sisters, their lack of faith, their lack of patience, lack of understanding, right? They want things now. They want things, as soon as they pray, they want God to react, but their faith is so small, right? And then because they feel like the Most High is taking too long, they become rebellious. They become disobedient. So from the book of Isaiah chapter 30 verse 1, it says, woe to the rebellious children. Woe means death and destruction to the rebellious children. Rebellious means disobey, right? To disobey. Children, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Scripture reads, saith the Lord. These are words that came out of the Lord's mouth. Here's why. That take counsel, right? Counsel that takes guidance, that takes someone else's beliefs, right? Belief system. Scripture reads, but not of me. Because we rather go to somebody else and hear their garbage and believe it, because we can see them, we can hear them. And because they use their words so articulately, right? They use words out of the dictionary. A lot of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we not book readers, back in the days. You understand? Because the slave master kept us from reading books, right? That when you finally hear somebody that speaks and using words that you never heard before, you start to believe they're masters, you know what I'm saying? Or they are something of a high stature, right? So scripture says, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me. Meaning we don't listen to the Most High God and what he has to say. We rather listen to Tom, Dick, and Harry. Scripture reads. And today we rather listen to, our pastors. You understand? These preachers. We rather listen to, Democrats and Republicans and all these councilmen and all these people that have spit these words in our ears. And it sounds like hope. It sounds like promises, but they're nothing. They have no substance. Scripture says, and covering with a covering. Scripture reads, but not of my spirit. We don't have the Most High Spirit. We don't have the Lord's Spirit. You understand? Because when Moses and Aaron was sent to Egypt to free us from bondage, from Pharaoh, right? We was believers until we hit that field. Once we was in the wilderness and there was no food and everybody looking around, now everybody had doubt. Everybody's talking about, oh, you should have left us in Egypt. At least they was feeding us. We were slaving and they mistreated us, but at least we was drinking water and we had food and stuff like that, right? Scripture says that they may add sin to sin. And because these days now where we add sin on top of sin, you understand? Because we know what we're doing is sinful. Like, for instance, if you're smoking marijuana, now you want to be a marijuana seller, right? So you're smoking, which is a sin. Now you're selling, which is, sin to sin. You start out as a young lady being misled, being manipulated, right? Now you start wearing makeup, but you don't use that makeup to look pretty. You use it now to attract and allure. And then when you allure, right, the man, you want something from him, right? So that's sin to sin. Now, from there, you get the man. Now you expect a payment in exchange for your flesh, for your box. That's what the scripture says, that they may add sin to sin. See, brothers don't want to squash a beef. They want to go home and get their gun and retaliate, right? That's adding what the scripture says. They may add sin to sin. That's adding sin to sin. And then then more of your brothers want to join in, and then you just want to hurt innocent bystanders. That's adding sin to sin. And that's the problem today, man. Stop excelling what is wrong and do righteous. For it is written that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are to do righteous. The Most High don't want us to live the way we live in. He wants us to rely on Him and to listen to Him and to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments. I'm Officer the Kun of the Isupk with your daily milk scripture. Shalom.